Hey, Mark, man, how are you?
Hi Dan, good morning. Happy Friday. We're
Yeah,
back
I know.
after 1 week
I'm
hiatus. A
back.
lot of people wrote in saying they missed your face
I know. I
last week.
know. If you missed me, there's plenty of episodes you can watch in the past. I think this is like the 40th live with
The
Dan, I
40th
think.
one.
Mark.
Yeah. I was actually just looking at it today. We started on September 18th of last year. We're actually coming up for 12th. I don't know. I mean, I just saw it.
Yeah.
So we're coming up at the 1 year anniversary of Live with Dan.
Yeah, we're gonna have to like get some beers or drinks or something, man, and cheers, have a party.
Absolutely.
No, everyone, thanks for watching today. We got an exciting show. We haven't talked much about online communities on Live with Dan, but I wanted to touch on that. And then I know we have some announcements. And then I wanted to talk about our cannabis panel as well that we've been growing and show you some results from that. But Tim Cornelius, the head of audience, it's been his baby, I would say, and he's been nurturing it and growing that. So want to cover some results in the data point section on that. But I know we have some announcements going out and happening. So Mark,
Mhm.
get us up to speed on what's happening in Question Pro so people can find our content and really,
Absolutely.
follow us.
Well, we have our weekly shows on the CX forums that happens every Tuesday. So I hope you've been keeping an eye out for that. I know I've posted the link we've posted the link quite a few times now. So that happens every Tuesday with Ken Peterson, our head of CX, and Mark Michelson, and then we've
Mhm.
got Sanya who's been doing our very well established Work at Life podcast every 2 weeks on the female recession,
Yeah.
which which is actually, I mean, a lot of people have been talking about also. I mean, Sanya just posted internally, someone has been referencing the data point. So that's a very interesting one. You should keep an eye out for Work at Life. And then obviously we are live on Live with Dan.
Yeah.
I just wanted to announce one thing though. We've extended our research certification program for free now to August just because of the
Yeah.
number of people that were taking it. So I'm going to put that link in here right now. If you want to take the certification program, that's free up till August 2021. No, here's the link.
Yeah, definitely make use of that. Take it. We've had overwhelming, I would say, success with clients both completing it and are currently taking it as well. It doesn't take long to get certified. I would say probably 10 hours or less, you can be certified on both the pro and the expert certifications. So start out with the pro, and then if you need the expert, you can always move into that. The pro covers a lot
Mhm.
of the features, functionality, basic market research that you would need, and then the expert covers more of advanced logic, max diff, conjoint, advanced research techniques, and so forth. So it's great whether you use Question Pro or not. Obviously, we want you to use Question Pro because I think it makes sense. There's a lot intertwined, but it's just a good course overall, I think,
Right.
to really utilize. So make use of it while it's free now. Won't last forever, as they say, right? So, uh,
Absolutely.
yeah. So no, definitely make use of that, and then yeah, listen to the podcast, the CX forums, other things we have going on. I know we have the office hours and stuff coming up later in August that
Right.
we'll
Right.
talk about. There's a lot of events and things that we're doing in the second half of the year, so there'll be plenty of, I think, good content coming your way throughout Question Pro. So I think with that,
Right.
let's get started with the communities. Unless there's something else that you wanted to talk about.
I was actually trying to look for the link for the X Day thing, but that's fine. We can get started with communities, and I'll find that link and put that in there. I mean, it's
Okay.
our user conference is coming up. We know the date now, so
Yep.
uh, people can register. So I'm going to look for that.
Yeah, there's a lot of exciting things for the user conference. I am pumped for that. All right, Mark. I want to get going here on this communities. We have 10 points to talk about,
Hmm.
but first, Mark, do you know what keeps me up at night?
Uh, no, it could be a
It's
bunch of other things. I mean, but
one of the things. There's a lot of things, but one of the things is online communities that resemble this picture here. Okay,
okay.
that are, it's maybe it was once thriving, maybe it was never thriving, but everybody's gone.
Hmm.
There's not much activity, nothing's going on. It's pretty desolate. So
Hmm.
communities like this really keep me up at night. I want them to be
Mm.
thriving. And what I want to show you today is 10 steps or really best practices that will help you create a thriving community. So I want you to get the maximum value and insights from your online community by ensuring it's designed, set up, and utilized in the right way. And so you have this thriving community, right? That everyone's
Right.
all in, people are engaging, they're interacting with each other, you're learning through them and getting these insights. So this is really the goal, to take it from that desolate, abandoned building to this thriving group of champions and really members in your community that will help you get the insights and the data you need to make those important decisions. So these are the 10 steps we'll be going over. I'll talk about them each one more in depth, but it's everything from defining members in your community, how to recruit your community, design a work-fun balance. So you need a good balance of both quant and qual, really, which we'll get more into. And then keeping mobile top of mind, I think, is always something that's important, especially in this day and age. So these are 10 steps that we'll talk about. Won't go too in depth on any one of them, but more want to give a groundwork here. So whether you have a community, whether you don't have a community and you're interested in it, think about these 10 things. Of course, we'll be posting a guide that goes a little bit more in depth that you can download for each of these 10 things. And of course, feel free to ping me anytime. Always interested in communicating and talking with people and letting them know how they can increase the results and engagement inside of their community, or if they want to get started. Of course, we can help them out at QuestionPro. So first, define the members in your community. So I think, think about community as a heart of this approach. When you think of a community outside of the general online community sense, what do you think of? A tight-knit kind of group of people that all have a common interest, right? So that's really what the community is. And I think an online community is no different. There's some common thread or theme that's going to really bring all these members together, whether that is product, whether that is a club, whether that is certain criteria that they all kind of gel and there's interweavings between them. I think this is important to really define who you want in the community up front. And that way, you know what research to target with them. You'll have the right members in the community for that particular research you're doing. See a lot of communities that get started that have the wrong members in, they have to re-recruit. It creates a struggle. And if you're not getting these members with the right content, they'll leave and they'll go do something else. So you'll see engagement rates decline.
Right.
So I think that's number one at the heart of it. And then, so think about, how long do you want this community to last? Do you want it to be a short-term or long-term community? Benefits and advantages to both. I think at QuestionPro, we see more long-term communities because I think over time, it'll help produce more ROI in different areas of opportunity from the business. But think about what are the mission? What do you need the community for? Is it a single research project or problem that you're trying to solve that a community can be stood up in, maybe it's 3 to 6 months and that's all the time that you need? I would urge you to think more about long-term communities, honestly, because I think once you have that short-term community, you'll find you get a lot of value in it that you can use for other areas of the business. And once I think I've seen insights or even product teams, once they find out there's a community of people that they can easily reach out to, because oftentimes, Mark, in these bigger companies, it's not easy to actually reach the
target customers, exactly.
Right.
Right. And I know we talk a lot about co-creation, right? I mean, I'm sure no matter what the duration of the community, it's just because you've got these very tight group of people that you can talk to all the time. It definitely makes a difference, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, that's 100% right. And I think the key thing here with the long-term community is that creates that channel that you can reach out to and really, reach and research those customers over time. So think about the duration. It's important both in terms of the scope and the research that you want to do. So another is the types of research you want. So if it's mainly qualitative and you want more video discussions or topics or discussion forums, maybe it can just be mainly qualitative. If you want more quantitative, survey, panel focus, I think the key to the key is really a mix of both. So we'll talk a little bit more about this and, keep it fun, but a mix really helps out with engagement inside of communities because it's not just survey after survey, but it's also qualitative. So I think some of the best communities that we see have this mix of qualitative or quantitative, or if it's strictly quantitative, they're making it fun in different ways by including some more qualitative question types in those surveys.
Right.
So there's different ways you can go about it, but think about the types of research that you want to do inside of the community. And I think a mix is definitely the key and the way to go.
Do you have like a percentage mix that you've generally seen, Dan, between how people use communities, like with a majority of focus on qual or quant, or do you think it's evenly balanced depending on
I think
the
it's,
research?
I think it depends. I think it's probably somewhat evenly balanced. Maybe quant gives wins out a little bit more there. But I think it depends on the different types of research that you want to do. I say quantitative because I know inside of QuestionPro we have, good filtering capabilities, good profiling capabilities, and then also we have this research grade survey platform that you can easily send out to your community. So, but there's still great qualitative features like video discussions. And Mark, one thing that's interesting is over the past year, I would say there's been this shift to qualitative because of the pandemic, right? And a lot of researchers maybe were reluctant to try it, have been maybe forced is the right word to try it out because they didn't have another means to have the discussions or the focus groups and things like that. So I would say that it's
and actually that brings me back to the second, I don't know if it was the second ever live we did with Adano when we were just building out video focus groups and we spoke about it. I mean, I'm sure you've seen a lot of adoption since then, right? I mean, we're about 11 months later and usage must have been skyrocketing.
Yeah, a ton of adoption for sure. Yeah, it's been amazing to see the growth of that. And then, recruiting to your community, think about how you're going to get those members in. There's many different avenues to do it. If you have a list of customers, I think that's gold. You've already probably reached out to them at some point. They're your customer. You can screen them, recruit them into your community. Those are going to be some of the best, I think. There's also we can help you recruit to a community via online samples. So if you know your target audience, we can help you find them and get them into your community. And then there's other channels that you can use, some of which are largely free, I would say, through websites, social media. All depends on the following and the engagement that you get, the reach that you have on those different platforms. But there are other ways besides customer lists and essentially using online sample to recruit to your community. I've seen even Facebook ads work well. Maybe it's different channel partners that you have that can help recruit. But websites, even website intercepts, social media are great recruiting channels because, again, largely free. You're not doing anything more to get traffic. It's already there. So you might as well utilize those sources as well. And there's always screening, right? You can qualify them before they even join the community. So it's not a concern at all there. So think about that. Recruiting is definitely a key point. And also, before we get onto the size of your community, recruiting is a key point to think about because depending on the method you're using, it can either increase or decrease your budget. So it's important from a economical standpoint as well. Okay. So the size of your community, this is very, very important because if your community is going to be mainly quantitative and you're sending out a lot of surveys, you need a larger community. So it's not the same people taking that survey. And so you can get the response rates that you need, especially if you have different segments inside of that community as well, and different segments that you need to reach in terms of your customer base. So consider the type of research you're doing. If it's qualitative, maybe you can get away with smaller communities. And, we have some communities that are, 250 to 500 members, and all they do is mainly qualitative work. And that's enough for them. They have some of their VIP customers in there and they want to just hear from them, smaller sort of mix. So think about that along with the volume of projects and the number of customers you have is a key component as well. If you're maybe you're a small boutique company and you have 500 customers, but you want 100 of your best customers in there, that's definitely possible as well. You don't need all of your customers. You can get away with a smaller subset. So think about that as well. I know we had this kind of high-end backpack company that was a community, and they didn't,
Okay.
maybe they had, I think it was around 5,000 customers they had. Well, they didn't need, 5,000, all of those 5,000 members to get the insights that they need. So they could just get away with a little bit smaller community. So that's definitely an important aspect of it. But I would say more so, yeah, probably with some of the companies that we're dealing with more the Fortune 500, it's more think about the volume and the types of projects that you want to run through your community. But always keep it in mind that a mix of quant and qual is definitely good. All right. The design of the community. This is an important aspect because we're visual people, right? Like we want to be a part of something that looks cool, that's fun, that's interactive. So think about the look and feel of the portal. Marketing is going to love it because it's another opportunity for a brand impression, and you can really make it an extension of your brand. So we've seen a lot of times when designing portals, we're not working with necessarily the researcher. They might be the in-between, but we also often get referred onto the marketing team to make sure it matches different brand assets and designs and standards that they have, right? So that's something that you want to think about is the design, and make it easy for your members. You don't need to go crazy, but you can still make it look sexy without having to go over the top with being hard to navigate and so forth. So definitely think about the UI, and we have a good UI in place, obviously, that you don't so much have to design it from scratch, but you can always really just implement your branding on our instance or our portal. So definitely important.
Plus, I think it resonates well with customers also, right? I mean, if it's a Nike, for example, I mean, I'm just taking a brand, and you've got a Nike community, and then people resonate those different colors, the tick, the swoosh, the font, and all that. I'm sure they are a lot more comfortable with speaking to a platform than they would otherwise. Then
no, that's a good point. The more I think trust they can have in it, that this is who I'm talking with, and I think familiarity too, right? That with the Nike, the orange, the red, or not the red, the white swoosh, and so forth, right? So all of these, all those questions. So Tim, I'd recommend communities. Do you recommend communities only for your customers? I would say that communities for customers are like the lowest hanging fruit. I think it's the easiest, and you can probably get the most out of it. We have had some communities where they want to survey sort of non-customers and see what's going on. A little bit harder to keep them engaged. You usually have to increase the incentive amounts because typically it's more of just like a pizza lovers community, right? Well, people are you still can find a lot of pizza lovers out there, but there's no brand attachment, there's no brand familiarity. So you have to usually spend a little bit more in incentives to keep them around. So speaking of which, this is a good intro to slide number 7 here, or point number 7, with intrinsic and extrinsic rewards. So there's going to be less, I would say, intrinsic rewards in a non-customer community than there is in a branded community. And what I mean by that is those intrinsic rewards are, you're doing things to make you feel good, right? Like you're giving the feedback. Intrinsically, it's making you feel good. You're doing it because you think it's the right thing to do. Maybe you want to help out the brand. You have a lot of brand affinity. Where the extrinsic rewards are going to be more of, hey, give me the gift card, give me some reward for doing this. I think the extrinsic rewards would definitely play up there, Tim, in the community that you were talking about. But using a mix of these can help members to become and remain engaged. So the reason you're doing this is obviously more engagement, I think, leads to higher quality insights. You're hearing from more of your member base. It's also helping out with budget because you're not having to re-recruit as many inactive members, right? So inactive members in the community are just, kind of, they're just there, right? They're not doing anything. So you need to kick them out, get them back in. There's always going to be some attrition, but having a mix of intrinsic, extrinsic rewards is the best. So making them feel good, interacting, I think even communicating with them like, hey, these are the top 3 performers. Like use those really the kind of game theory and the competitive nature of people to get them to engage more in the community and to do more activities. So all those things come into play. but a mix of intrinsic, extrinsic rewards is the best.
Was the best. Nice.
And then work fun balance, right? Like your community members are not solely focused on the community. They have lives, they're doing other things, they're busy. So you want to make it a rewarding experience. Obviously, the tangible, extrinsic and intrinsic rewards help out with that. But you want to make the activities fun and exciting. Don't just hit them with survey after survey. Maybe mix in a few fun activities that maybe they have a little bit to do with your product, but maybe they're more fun, more creative, can be based around different holidays and so forth, and variety. Make sure that it's fun and there's a good mix of those activities inside of the community. So manage your members. So this is a key component that I think often gets lost in the shuffle. Sometimes it's, if you build it, they will come, which is true.
Yeah.
But you need to manage it, right? So you have to bring the community to life with engagement, the health of your community, managing these different aspects. We talked about a little bit about making sure that members are active. If they're inactive, ask them if they still want to be a member. If they don't, oftentimes that prompt can get them to either re-engage or say they don't want to be a member, which is absolutely fine. Then you can get new members in that want to participate in a thriving community. And really what we've seen is that when you have a dedicated community manager, it's an integral part of the process. They're managing the community, they're monitoring for health, they're interacting with members to get engagement up. They're keeping track of all these things. If you think about in a community outside, right, of an online context, there's always someone managing that community, whether it's, if you're at an HOA, there's always this, HOA committee, right, that manages the community.
Yeah.
Think about it in the same
members
way
and
where, there's you need someone managing it and keeping charge and track. And also the community manager is a good gatekeeper for the community of saying, these are the kind of projects we can do. This is what we can't do, so that it doesn't get bombarded with requests and then just kind of churn through, really useless projects perhaps, or mini projects to where it kind of burdens the community. They can manage that aspect of it as well.
The cadence also of the projects. True.
Exactly. Yep. And then finally, keep mobile top of mind. Smartphone adoption in the US is only continuing to rise. I think last summer, 77% of the US now went into smartphone. It's probably a little bit higher now since I created this slide, but that's still the average, 77 to 80%. Mobile first approaches and continuing to embrace mobile is definitely a smart choice. We have adopted a communities app that really helps out with this process with push notifications. Can also do geolocation surveys, helps out with mobile diary type studies as well. So keep mobile top of mind when you're doing this. If you're not keeping mobile top of mind, then I think you're really missing out, because even on a survey side, we see that more are completing it on mobile phones than desktops, right? So you need to keep mobile top of mind, because it's all about creating that good positive experience. So if you're not doing this, then you're kind of I think you're really missing the boat there, honestly. So an app definitely helps out with this, because people are used to apps, right? Like we use apps every day, or people that have smartphones do, whether it's on, checking the weather or Facebook, Instagram, whatever it might be. So they're familiar with it. So they can have an app on their phone that takes them directly to your community. That is really that form factor as well. It's created for the mobile environment. So, but also we have a lot of members accessing it on a mobile browser as well, which is totally fine. That's something that we take into account when we're developing, is how does this look on a mobile browser and also a PC or laptop, whatever it might be, and keeping those things in mind as well. So, Mark, those are the 10 steps to keep in mind.
I'm gonna pull that the hacker's guide that you mentioned a little earlier. Yeah, here it is.
Perfect. All right. That's great. Perfect. Yeah, thanks for posting that in the comments here. There's a hacker's guide to online community. Talks about these 10 10 best practices, 10 steps that I went over today. So definitely take a look at that. It gives a little bit more explanation, and that is there for you, free to download.
Feel free to download. Yes.
All right, Mark, I mentioned that we've been doing this kind of cannabis panel, and Tim has been working on growing this. So what we've been doing is cannabis panel, not only obviously cannabis users, but also people that work at the different cannabis locations as well that sell it. So we
Right.
have let me share my screen here, go over some different results here for the data points section. So we have this bud tender panel in Canada and North America. So the bud tenders are the people that work at the shops that recommend different products and brands and so forth. So we have this panel that's being widely adopted, I would say, but we're keeping it to a really tight-knit group of suppliers and users because we don't want this to be abused. But it is a great panel, and I wanted to highlight some of the results here that we have in some of these different data points, and also things that you can get from our panel. Obviously, this is just a kind of a teaser, but we have specific questions by brands, producers, and so forth from this. Even researchers as well are using this the bud tender panel. This is in Canada, so these results are there. So obviously, what is your title? Bud tender. Please rank your top 3 favorite LPs in your local province, so we can get things like this. So the average rank here is Peace Naturals product, Weed MD, Zenabis, and so forth. So you can see the average rank here of all of these, which is something that obviously you can get. Just wanted to show sort of the depth of the panel here. And then when speaking with customers, so again, this is the bud tenders we're talking about here. When speaking to a customer, what is the top brand? So the top brand they're recommending here is Tweed. So these are some of the insights that you can get. Obviously, you can send us your survey, or we can help develop the survey. We can use this panel, send it out, and you can get results like this
Right.
that we can send you. Obviously, we can do full service results as well with the reporting, the presentation, and so forth. But if you want to use the cannabis panel, feel free to contact us. We can definitely help you out with some of these insights. But you can see of these 250 bud tenders, the top brand they recommend is Tweed, followed by Top Leaf. So those are some. And then when speaking to a customer, this is the others. So there's some others that they recommended. And then do you recommend to your customers by brand or by product? So by brand, it looks like a little bit more by product, but brand is also a key component as well. And then do you wish customers didn't have to interact with you to get their products? So most people said no, they don't wish that. So they want to interact with their customers, that's interesting.
Which is a good thing, yeah.
Should marijuana be legal in the United States? Obviously, 77% said yes. So that is some of the data points I wanted to go over and highlight the cannabis panel that we have. So again, if you want to use that, you want to run some surveys through it, get some data, reach out to us. We can definitely help you with that as well. So something exciting that we're starting really from a demand standpoint. We see it as a key component in moving forward. So
for research,
yeah. Feel free to reach out to us. You can also reach out to Tim Cornelius directly if you have any questions about it. Again, this is kind of his baby, and he's really spearheading this operation. So
he's nurturing and growing it.
Yeah, he's been growing it. Yeah, right. Yeah, no pun intended. So anyway, if you want to use it, reach out. So I think, Mark, that can probably wrap up the show today. Anything else that you wanted to cover?
No, I think we're good for today. Next week, we've got some exciting stuff coming up, so keep an eye out.
Yeah, keep an eye out.
We'll see you next Friday.
For next week. I'll be talking with someone. I don't want to reveal them yet, but I will be, and we'll get it going. So, all right, thanks everyone for joining, and we'll see y'all next week.
Bye-bye.